Angels coming down the court and I get a good elbow to the throat. And obviously I'm like, I fell. So, but
she be clocking your team.
She be clocking it real quick too. Like you said, I was a top 25 recruit. 22 of the 24 people in my class were McDonald's All-American. Defensively is the best way to get on the court, and I had a humbling experience with Coach B telling me I was like the worst defender she's ever seen. Very sentimental for me because I knew Diamond was kind of coming down to her last moments of us playing together. That was one of the worst experiences, and I've gone through it. College, I got invited to USA 3-on-3. I've never been invited to USA 5-on-5.
What's up, you guys? Welcome to Beyond the Jersey, episode 6 with Shyanne Sellers. Have a very special guest. Thank you for coming. I always start everybody's interview with reading their accolades, so I'm gonna read some of your accolades just so they can know who I'm interviewing. So you were ranked number 22 coming out of high school. Your freshman year, you were named Big Six Man off the bench, which is amazing. You're also named All Big Ten freshman. As a sophomore, Shyanne was named All Big Ten first team, and then you were added to the Cheryl Miller Award watch list. As a junior, you were named Nancy Lieberman Award watch list, and then entering your senior year, you were named Top 10 Player Preseason Award, which is amazing, the Big Ten team. And then now you're projected a top pick in the WNBA Draft. So everybody, welcome, Shyanne. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So I always like to start. I like to do a little timeline with you, just taking us through your journey. So the first question is, I want you to take us back to your freshman year. That was a long time ago, but take us back to your freshman year. What were your feelings when you stepped onto campus as a top recruit? You were a top 25 recruit coming out of high school, and what were you excited about, and what were you most scared about?
Yeah, I can remember coming in and just being nervous. Maryland had just come back from a Sweet 16 appearance, returning 3 AP All-Americans, Diamond Miller, Ashley Wusu, Angel Reese. And so I was kind of walking into a situation where I was like, I might not see playing time. But I knew that, and I kind of was up for the challenge. It's one of the main reasons why I picked Maryland, because I knew it was going to be a challenge. Thankfully I got an opportunity to play, and I kind of just never looked back from there. So I think that was kind of the exciting piece for me, is just coming in kind of nervous, as most freshmen are, but stepping up to the plate, and knocking it out of the park.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything that you were scared of? Anything you were not intimidated by, but as a freshman, you're entering a team where you have 3 WNBA players potentially,
yeah.
And what were some of your things that you were just concerned about?
Well, it was fresh off COVID. Oh. So, yeah, I kind of had a COVID belly.
I think everybody did a low key. Not playing basketball for damn near a year is tough.
It was crazy. So, trying to get myself back in shape, I feel that was kind of the most concerning part. I knew my IQ could get me a little bit further than most freshmen, just because I was able to adapt on the fly. But I really think I was just scared of trying to fit everybody very well and not kind of being that dumb, annoying freshman or whatever.
The one that talks too much.
Yeah, I was trying to keep my mouth closed, and I started opening it up a little bit more, but yeah.
I feel that. Was there a moment in your freshman year that you realized basketball is different? I know most people, certain podcasts, certain people be what was your welcome to NBA moment, or what was your welcome to college moment for you, and what was your emotions after that, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, we played pickup all the time my freshman year, and Angels coming down the court and I get a good elbow to the throat. And obviously I'm like, I fell. So and I hear Chloe Bibby that's not a foul, this ain't high school no more, they ain't calling that soft stuff no more. I hear you. So I feel that was definitely my welcome to college moment. And then also my first workout, I was running, game speed, everything. So I was really tired, and my roommate then was Faith Vasonis, and she was like, yeah, this girl's going to struggle.
You going through it, boy.
Yeah, but it was that first workout, so I feel like everyone kind of dies in that first workout. But, I kind of figured it out.
Is there anything that, like, your freshman year taught you about yourself that you didn't know prior to high school?
I think, honestly, high school I really didn't play defense. I would, let people blow by me just to time it up so I could block it. I wasn't really getting away with that in college. So I think, honestly, just being disciplined, I think a lot of freshmen think, the more I can score, the more chances I'll get on the court. But it's kind of backwards. It's the more you play defense, the more you can defend and just not turn the ball over. That's I think the key to success in college.
That's crazy because that was my follow-up question, your role, your freshman year. At what moment did you realize, okay, this is how I need to implement myself to play? And was that challenging? Because I know a lot of people challenge or struggle going from the top recruit, best player to you're now kind of refiguring out. You feel like a freshman in high school again, right? Or 8th grader and going into playing against older players. At what moment did you realize, okay, this is what's going to get me on the court? And was it a struggle for you mentally to kind of accept that?
Yeah, I think, walking in, seeing everybody work out and all that stuff, I kind of realized, because I averaged 20 in high school. I think a lot of people did coming in, but I realized they don't need scoring. That's not what this is about. They need something else. So I was kind of figuring out what they needed. I wasn't really gonna be able to bang in the post my freshman year to get rebounds and stuff. So I figured defensively is the best way to get on the court. And I had a humbling experience with Coach B telling me I was the worst defender she's ever seen.
I think all coaches say that low key.
Yeah,
and then you'd be on people's scouting report great defender.
Yeah.
And it's
it made it worse though because I was guarding Ashley Wusu and Ashley, it was prime time.
Yeah,
she was breaking my ankles in practice, had me shaking every day. So I think that was kind of the adjustment period. But honestly, just getting humbled and then ready to work and keep going. I feel some people get scared and try to let people shake their confidence, but your preparation is everything.
For sure. Your sophomore year, what was that turning point? Because I always look at people's stats and just kind of follow the trajectory of your career. What was that turning point you had your sophomore year, and what was that like to kind of enter into a newer role that's different than your freshman year? Or did you find yourself just expanding on the role that you had and was able to find more opportunities for yourself within the role that you had prior in your freshman year?
Yeah, well, I think my freshman year, we had a lot of departures after the season, which is, part of basketball now. But, we brought in a few great pieces for us, so that was kind of huge. And then I needed to expand on my role. I felt like my role was definitely going to change. And, me and Coach B had a lot of meetings of just talking about how my role is going to change and shift. And so I kind of had to be a little bit of both. I had to be that two-way player that could score the ball a little bit more and defend. And, my conditioning had to get up because I had to guard the best player and then produce points too. So I feel like that was kind of the shift from freshman to sophomore year. But, I think it's all about how you attack it. And, you can feel sorry for yourself or you can just attack it head on. And that's kind of what I did.
What were some tangible things that you did mentally to prepare for that? Because I know obviously you're having conversations with your coaches, but there could also be a level of pressure that you put on yourself just naturally as an elite player. How did you prepare yourself mentally for what you were about to step into with people leaving and transferring? That's just how the game is now. What were some tangible things that you did to prepare for that?
Yeah, I did. I watched a lot of film constantly. Even my freshman year, I was watching a lot of film on myself in practice or whoever I was guarding in the game. Kind of just give me a little bit of an edge, and I think that was kind of huge for me of being able to step it up on both sides of the floor. But I think, like I said, everything that and I also did a lot of visualizations, everything that you can see in your mind you can do on the court. So I think just doing that kind of helped me kind of take the load off. I also had Diamond Miller and Abby Myers, who were both first-round draft picks, so it kind of took the pressure off knowing that I didn't have to do it alone. So I feel like that was really confident. That was very good for me.
You keep going right into the questions I'm about to ask, so which is perfect. So who were you kind of mentioned you had was Abby and Diamond. Who else, or if those are the people that helped you, who are people that held you accountable or pushed you and challenged you to grow in those days where you're dang, this is hard, I'm in a new role, I have to visualize. Is there anybody in your life that held you accountable to the things that you knew in the role that you were going to play and just the kind of stepping into the person that you wanted to be? Who in your life was that supporter or challenger for you?
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously my family was like, obviously a huge support, but I think my freshman year, I lived in a 4x4 with Diamond, Faith, and Zoe Young. And those like were like the best moments of like my 4-year career, because after every game we'd like come in, debrief.
The debriefs always go crazy.
It goes crazy.
Yeah, I don't know about that. The debrief, practice debriefs.
It'd be crazy. So it was like honestly like the best feeling, like having like, and they're all upperclassmen at that time. They're all juniors. So that like kind of gave me like a sense of confidence, but also like people I could confide in about like what I was feeling and like how I was feeling. I feel like those were like the main 3 people I confided in. Also like Chloe Bibby. She was the next room over, but like she was definitely a person that that I could reach out to anytime. And, you know, like she was one of those people that kept it 100% real. So I think that was just kind of huge for me.
Man, I don't hear many stories where people, I mean, not many, but it's very few where you have great experience with your upperclassmen, just because, you know, they can see the talent and sometimes shy away from mentoring you or helping you. And that's amazing that your teammates saw that. And even your like willingness to want to learn and want to grow and want to be better and ask. I mean, you went to someone, you said Chloe was going to keep it a buck with you. And a lot of times as a young player, you just try to go to your friends that's going to, you know, oh, you the best. Da-da. It's like, well, that's not what my coach thinks. So tell me what I really need to know. And I mean, sometimes they're just not capable of seeing what your teammates are able to see. So that's amazing that they've been that for you. And I mean, it 100% shows now that it plays dividends. And I can only imagine that's what you try to do for your younger teammates. We're going to get to that. But following to my next question, at some point, you know, you had the mentorship of your teammates and stuff like that. But at what point did you start holding yourself accountable towards like, you know, you could go to your teammates and ask for help, but it's like, I know better, or like, I know how to get my own self out of this situation or this funk or these bad thoughts. Like, is there any point that you were able to, okay, I have a hold on what I need to do to move forward?
Yeah, I think honestly, like taking care of myself, finding an escape. A lot of people know, like, once I'm out of the gym, like, don't text me, don't call me, don't do none of that. Because I just like my space away from this place. I mean, honestly, and like especially like now, like my senior year, like, you know, it can become a lot. Like everyone's chirping, oh, W's next. Da, 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 da. Like,
you're just trying to stay present in the moment.
Yeah, like I want to be here, and I mean, obviously, like again, like I've been here for 4 years, not that common anymore, but like, you know, I've definitely went through my trials and tribulations here. So I feel like, I mean, just like buying into myself. Obviously, I have a great partner, so I feel like that's something that like she definitely keeps it real with me all the time. Yep. She's like, you know, I'm not gonna lie, you was acting a little crazy. But
she be clocking your teeth.
She be clocking it real quick too. So I feel like that's kind of the difference of just like, I think creating something for yourself. And I think if you're not happy with like something that's going on at school, like, it's not always the coaches, it's not always the teammates. Like, sometimes you need to step back and look at yourself in the face and be like, what am I doing? Because no matter what, how they feel is gonna be how they feel. And like, if it's multiple people, then there's probably something.
There's some truth in it. Yeah. I remember someone told me too, like, the truth comes from like, it hurts, but it's just like, if multiple people feel a certain way about you, there's some truth in it. Like, maybe their delivery is not the best. Like, a coach could yell at you, or a teammate could get on you about something, you don't like it, but it's like, there is some truth in what they're saying. It's like, how can you take that, apply it, but then not take the tone and like maybe the negativity from it, but just apply it? Because I think at the end of the day, like, especially if you're trying to grow and you're trying to learn, it's going to come out in certain ways through other people, especially that are around you constantly and consistently. So that's great that you were able to reflect that, because I think that's a skill not a lot of people are willing to learn. I mean, I've talked to people that are older and they just don't get it, you know, like they don't see that we're almost like a creator of our own reality, and like we have a lot of power in just what happens in our life, and it comes from our thoughts, it comes with how we treat people, it comes with how we show up every day. And it's not always just, oh, it's their fault or they don't like me. It's like, nah, like how am I showing up, what am I doing wrong? So like, credit to you for being able to like recognize that at a young age. I mean, that's I mean, we're the same age, but that's fire.
But I agree with that though too, because I feel like I always tell people like, life is what you make it. And then I also tell people like, no one's really going to care about how many points you average in like 20 years. Like, no one's really going to care about that anymore. It's about like how you felt as a person. Like there's times like I look back at Diamond and I'm like, nah, she was a dope ass teammate.
Yeah.
Like she was fun. Like I think some people get caught up in like the antics or whatever, but like look like even in the moment, like I still felt like Diamond was literally one of the best teammates, one of the most down to earth people. And I don't even remember how many points she averaged because it was irrelevant.
It's how she made you feel that left
Right.
impact on you,
Right.
which is like what people miss a lot of the times. It's like, and that kind of goes into my next question, rolling right into that, into your leadership. I've done my research, so I know like you stepped into a leadership role your junior year as an upperclassman. I think when you talk about Diamond and the people that helped you and that were leaders to you, I want to ask you, like, what qualities and what kind of leader did you want to be when you stepped into that leadership role? What about you could have took qualities from other people, but how did you want to show up as a leader to your teammates, and how did you cultivate those characteristics to make sure that you are the person, the leader that you want to be for your team and your teammates?
Yeah, I think like coming in freshman year, kind of confused and like didn't really know where to go like around campus and everything, so I kind of made it a point of emphasis like every year, like when freshmen come on campus, like I show them around and like make sure they know how to get to the gym and like everything like that. So I feel like that was kind of the main things, but also like I'm a competitor at heart. I want to make sure like people want to compete with me. I'm a very honest person. A lot of people would say that very blunt. So I don't want to sugarcoat it, but like I also want to make sure like I definitely instill confidence of like I know you can make that shot, like you need to make that shot, like you got that. So I feel like that's kind of like a happy medium of like knowing like, hey, all I came here to do is win, like either with it or you're not. So I felt like and you come to Maryland to win, so a lot of people hopped on board and it's kind of been easy that way. But I also feel like we do a good job of like being our own leaders and like people are taking accountability for themselves and be like, I messed up. And like we're like, okay, that's fine, like you messed up, but at least like thank you for taking accountability. So I feel like that's kind of the difference in our culture.
Is there any point in your like leadership journey that you like doubted your leadership or your leadership style? Because I know like if you talk to one person compared to another person a certain way, like they might not accept it, right? So how did you ever doubt like, okay, am I approaching this the right way, and do I need to adjust? And if you did, like how did you maneuver that to make sure that you got the best out of every teammate, not even just how you showed up in life as a leader?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have struggled with that. Like I said before, like super blunt, super honest, sometimes not in the best way. So I've spent the last like 2 years really working on that, and trying to make sure my delivery is best. I think thankfully I've gotten to a point where like everybody understands where I'm coming from. They understand what I'm trying to say, and like I've been trying to say it in a more, not lighthearted way, but like in a way like they can fully comprehend and understand and be willing to accept. So I feel like that's been good. But I think the biggest thing is just like not everybody wants to be talked to the same. And I mean, obviously it's easier said than done, because like sometimes when you're in basketball it's like just the heat of the moment or whatever. But I think really trying to like drill that in your head, like not, you got to figure out a way to like lay this a little bit softer, and also let the people know like, hey, like I'm trying to work on this, like so like don't automatically go into the defense mode when I open my mouth. So I feel like I found that like to be a struggle. Is like as soon as I opened my mouth, I didn't even say anything bad. I could have said great shot and it'd been defensive. And so I felt like letting people know like, yo, I'm working on that, like I need you to kind of meet me in the middle of like where we can like get to
the acknowledgement of it, for sure.
So I feel like that's kind of what has shifted everything, and it's been easier on both sides. And I feel like, I mean, that's the whole part of being a human, is developing and growing, and I think I've done that.
For sure. What is one accomplishment that you've had that has really shaped your like confidence and career, like that you, when you accepted or received it and you're just like, wow, like I really did that and I'm proud of it? It could be on or off the court. It doesn't even have to be anything to do with basketball.
That's a tough question.
It could be a few. It doesn't have to just be one.
It's not even one. I can't even think of one.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like,
you're not satisfied, or?
I mean, no. I mean, obviously, like no, but like I also feel like I never really cared about accolades.
Explain, because I know that's very. Listen, that not a lot of people feel that way, right? Like, a lot of athletes care about accolades. They care about the praise. So explain on like why and where that came from. Why you never cared about that stuff.
I think it stems from I never played circuit ball in AU.
That's probably smart. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I played for the same AU program since 4th grade. And I never went circuit. As many times as people tried to get me to go, I never went.
I could imagine.
I never went, and it just doesn't, it honestly really means nothing. Like, obviously, yes, it's great to get recognition for all the hard work you've put in, and, you know, but I honestly feel like it stems from, like, the confidence within yourself of knowing, like, hey, so-and-so's getting this, I'm not, like, whatever, I know I'm better than them, like, and that's what it is. You go out and put it on the court. I feel like it still happens today. I feel like people are getting more recognition than me, and which is great. Everyone is doing their own thing and getting their own praise. But, you know, I kind of like to be a little dark horse.
Yeah, like kind of like the underdog a little bit.
So I think I just, like, thrive in environments where people doubt. So I think that's kind of why I naturally don't care. And I think some things are obviously rooted in bias, and there's
politics.
Things like that.
And there's a lot of factors that can control the narrative of things. And
absolutely.
I mean, that's... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, in high school, like you said, I was a top 25 recruit. 22 of the 24 people in my class were McDonald's All-American.
Yeah, I read that, and I was like, you weren't... Because it's 24, right? It's 20... Wait, no.
It's 24 players.
It's 24 players, and I was like... When I read that, and I was like looking at your accolades and things, and I was like, she wasn't a McDonald's.
I was a McDonald's All-American,
and that's probably a chip that you took on your shoulder when you came into college, and how you
that was kind of funny. And then in college, I got invited to USA 3-on-3. I've never been invited to USA 5-on-5. So I mean, but I don't let it control my destiny. I think everything happens for a reason. And, you know, it makes a great story. For the plot.
Exactly, for the plot. No, that's true, because I think, like, we've all got caught up in, oh, I'm not getting this or getting that. But you're 100% right. Like, you could either let it destroy you, you could just let it motivate you. Because it's like, for the people that don't play basketball or people that are not, like, competitors, like, I mean, everybody's experienced, like, being, like, underlooked or feeling like they are being lowballed or things like that. And I think the life lesson is just like, the work is the work, right? Like, you still got to show up regardless if you're the number 1 player in the country or the number 100. So it's like learning that lesson early. I feel like it was smart that you didn't play circuit ball, because circuit ball, as great as it is, you're consumed with politics and how things look and rankings and all that, and that stuff can almost hurt you. And I think that for me, that hurt me coming to college, because I played circuit ball my whole life basically, and it's like it consumed me so much that I felt paralyzed. I couldn't even play basketball. Like, I was so consumed, like, oh, I'm this number, I have to keep that. And it's like, in reality, it's just a number next to your name. It doesn't define you. And I didn't unlearn that till I got to college. Obviously, when you get to college, no one really gives a damn about what you're ranked, if you're number 1 or number 100 players. If you could play, you could play. But I think that's a lot. It says a lot about how you were raised and just your character as a person, because it's so easy to get caught up in the antics and in the politics of who you are. And I commend you also, because that also shows why every year you've been able to add on to your career. Like, when I looked at your stats, obviously I followed your career, but when I looked at it, every year you progressed, right? Like, you probably had your own struggles and challenges each year, but you continuously got better. And that shows a lot, because you're able to receive criticism, critique, outside noise, inside noise, your coaches, your internal, your parents, or whatever, and you're able to apply it, which shows up on the court, right? The way that you're able to still play freely, and you have all talks about the draft and talks about being a top 10 player and all these things. You're still able to show joy on the court. It says a lot about you as a person and, like, just your character. That's also, I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to say?
Are you going to talk about NIL?
Oh, no. Did you want me to?
I mean, it doesn't matter. I was just going to say...
Go ahead. Talk about it.
I was just going to talk about the topic of, like, when you were saying, like, circuit ball and stuff like that. Of, like, also, I feel like now, like, people are getting consumed with the fact of, like, oh, I have to get paid, or I have to do this.
Or I need this amount and all that.
Right. And I'm like, first off, you haven't even come to college, so I don't know why you think you deserve that. Second off, I think, like, obviously, like, people are greedy and they want money, and obviously money changes a lot of things for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Obviously not everybody's blessed with the same background, but I also do feel like sometimes when you see certain schools that aren't performing well and they offer you a lot of money, it's because they need somebody and you're walking into a really bad situation. And I think that can be blinding. And I even think like with the roster that we have, there are a lot of kids that could have gotten paid so much more
somewhere else.
So much more. And they didn't. Like they just came here because we want to win. Like that. I think that's what people get confused by. Like your main goal is to win. Like winning can get you so much further than money ever will. And I think that's just the one thing I wanted to say is just like be careful, because at the end of the day, recruiting is a job. And this is their job.
It's their job to persuade you to come to your
right.
their
and
school.
They're going to make it seem like it's the perfect fit. But you need to make sure that you're asking the right questions of 100%. Like, how long are your practices? Where are we living?
What are the other things outside of basketball that you can do?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how strict are you on about food? How strict are you about, like, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
How much gear? Like, are you guys going to pay for my flight going home for Christmas break? Like, certain things like that, because I feel like people forget to ask those questions and they're just like, oh, am I going to play? Like, how do you see me fitting in? Well, obviously, they're going to say they see you fitting in very well because they wouldn't have brought you if they didn't. But I also feel like you kind of have to know, like, you have to kind of cut out the BS because otherwise you're going to get stuck.
For sure. And we see that all the time. I mean, I think too, like talking about NIL, I feel like, I mean, this is a whole topic that's just like, yikes. But it's sad because, I mean, like I understand the money piece and like, that's, I mean, like you said, like a lot of people need money. Like they need, but at the same time, there's so much more to life than just getting a bag thrown at you, right? And that, like that bag could set you up for 5 years or maybe even 10 years down the line, but ultimately like you want to be at a place where you have all the boxes are checked, and that's impossible, right? There's nothing perfect about any school, but in reality, like you don't want to be somewhere where you're just getting a bag, but every day you hate walking into practice, and like that impacts your mental health, that impacts your performance. Like you could be getting a lot of money, but you might hate it there, I think that's something to be careful about as well. And like you touched on it perfectly, and I never really heard that. What did you say? I've never heard like, what did you say about getting paid, but
sticky situation?
Like like I never thought, I didn't even think about that. Like they're giving you a lot of money because you're walking into a bad, like I never thought about that. And that's great that you brought that up, because I don't think people realize, oh, they offered me all this money because ain't nobody else want to come here, because they know where the people left because of certain situations. So I think that's
there are a couple schools like that in the Big Ten.
For sure. Not gonna say too much. Okay. If you could relive one game or one moment in your career, what would it be and why?
I think playing Notre Dame in the NCAA tournament in the Elite Eight. I lied. I lied. Sweet 16.
That was your sophomore year? Okay.
That was the most elite thing ever. Ever. I think like me and Diamond combined for like maybe 6 or 8 points in the first half. And then came out and just us two outscored Notre Dame in the second half.
That's insane. Who did they have that year? That was...
I think Liv was hurt.
So it was like...
that was the year Liv tore her ACL at the end of the season.
It was Hannah?
Sony.
No, Hannah wasn't there.
No, it was
Dara?
Sony, Dara. No, Dara tore her ACL too.
Dang, they were both out?
Yeah.
Who else was on that team?
Who was it? Sony, Maddie, Kylie.
Yeah, and then the guards were...
KK.
Yeah, KK, and then...
There was more guards.
There's one more, yeah.
I can't think of it, but yeah, that was lit.
That was a great game for y'all.
That was great. It was fun.
Why? Just because of how y'all started and then how y'all finished the game? Or
I think also just like the atmosphere, like also was kind of like very sentimental for me, because like I knew Diamond was kind of coming down to her last moments, like of us playing together. So like that was like...
And to do it together.
Yeah, it was great.
That's outscoring.
It was great.
2 people outscored teams because I know they got chewed out after that game.
Yeah, I mean they were down people, but like it was still a good game.
Yeah. Okay, it's actually crazy that you mentioned visualization, because that's one of the questions I want to ask you, and I didn't know that you visualized. I just assumed that you did because of how you've been able to progress each year. But from growing year to year, you commented that visualization and even has affirmations been big for you? Because I think a lot of people they want to know, like the people want to know, like, how did you do it? Like, what did you visualize? Did you speak over yourself, like positivity and true things about yourself? And then also, what got you started doing that? Like, what made you do that? Is there any point where you were like in a bad headspace where you're like, okay, I need to figure out how to mentally get myself going, and because it's going to follow where my mind goes, my body's going to follow? Or have you always just been like that and it's always been something that's been a part of you?
Well, Marilyn does a good thing of just like getting us like a mental coach, and she comes in, she talks to us about a bunch of different things, and like one of the first things she like kind of talked to us about was visualization. And I felt like it was kind of huge for me just because like I really never like thought about it, but like obviously I know like when you lay your head down at night, like you can see things and like you can see different things. I felt like it kind of helped me because like in high school I wasn't a great free throw shooter, and I was like 75% or something, like not terrible but not great. And then every time I go to the free throw line I visualize. I visualize a swish, I say it in my head over and over and over and over again. And I find myself being able to do that more often, be more consistent in my free throws, just because I've seen it happen. I know it can happen. So I feel like that's the difference between like doing it and like visualizing is like your body, and this is actually a fact, your body can't tell the difference between doing mental reps and doing the actual rep. So I think, you know, like putting it in my mind that like I've been there, I've done that. That way when the time arises, I can come up and like do it. So I feel like that's kind of why I started doing it.
What has been like your biggest improvement or area of growth from your freshman year to now, to your senior year?
Honestly, I just think like being able to like pick apart different types of defenses. I think the game has slowed down a lot for me. I've been able to make, you know, a ton of different reads. Obviously, I still have my hiccups here and there, but just slowing the game down and kind of trying to figure out what teams are trying to take away, and then how can I exploit that.
If you could summarize your journey in one word, like up to this point, what would it be and why? I'll give you 2 words. I think 1 word. I'll give you 3.
All right.
I think one and two is too hard. Give me 3 words that would like describe like your journey up until now.
I think amazing.
And you have to elaborate on each word, by the way.
Okay. Amazing because the fans obviously are great. We're close to DC. There's a bajillion things to do. I've met my partner here. I think that's one of the amazing, like I've had great teammates throughout my career, great coaching staff throughout my career. So I feel like that, I definitely feel like tough. I've had hiccups. You know, I've done it all. I've cried, blood, like everything. Like I've done it all. And so I think that's something that like can take a toll on you. Just like being in the same place for 4 years, growing up, you know, like away. I'm like from Ohio, so I'm away from home. But like also like growing up and like changing as an adult, like in college, is kind of just like different kind of levels to it. And then I think the 3rd word I would say is just like, I guess this year I would say nostalgic, just because like I'm like super happy with basketball right now and like super content and just like in my life. And I think obviously like I'm like into my faith. I've gone more into my faith this year, but I think just God has put a lot of things in front of me that has made so many things happen. And no matter what direction I'm pulled or what happens to me or in whatever in my life, like I know like the people around me like have like are gonna have my back. So I feel like that's huge.
And they're gonna support you and everything. Okay, last question. If you were to give advice to a younger athlete, anybody's watching or anybody that could be a fan of you, because I know you have a lot of fans, what's some advice that you would give them just based off of your journey, as we like recap and like kind of go through your timeline? What's something that came to your mind or has come to your mind about your journey and how you would inspire, encourage, or what you would tell a younger person watching this?
I would say don't stop loving the game. Don't start bringing things in to basketball that have nothing to do with basketball. I think I'm a firm believer that confidence can't be shaken. But I also think sometimes people place their worth in basketball by what their coaches say. But I think the real thing is, like, what coach won't put you on the court if they, like, their job is to win, right? Obviously, I think it kind of depends. Like, if you're in college, they're definitely going to put you on the floor if they feel like you guys can win. If you're cooking everybody in practice, I feel like they're going to put you on the floor. At least, I've only been here, so, like, at least in my situation,
Girl,
I know.
You don't know.
I'm going to speak for my situation because I know Coach B,
she keep it real.
She keep it real. She's like, if she feels like you're going to win, and I've never seen it happen where I felt like
I feel like you also have, like, because I've been at 2 different schools, so, like, I'm not going to shade nobody, but, like, you have, like, the good experience of, like, you didn't go, you know, it's like I mean,
I definitely feel like there's definitely things that, like, I think each coach has their own flaws, but I think, like, basically what I was trying to say is, like, you can't let someone's idea of you control who you are.
Exactly, for sure.
And, like, preparation is everything, so, like, sometimes the antics you kind of have to play into of, like, you know, they want to, like, Coach B is always like, you know, so-and-so is down here, you know, an hour and a half before practice. Like, I only saw her, but, like, you know, I'm just trying to, like, you know, that's where we got to be at.
That stuff goes a long way.
It plays in a factor, and it's all just a mind game. And, you know, I've definitely had conversations. You know, we've been through tough things together, and obviously our relationship is really good. But, you know, we've had those tough talks, and I've been like, you only see me for a couple hours a day. So, like, what you see is not reality.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like sometimes you kind of have to shift your mindset and just get in the vision and get in their eyesight, because that's what they're going to see. If they see you constantly, then they're going to be like, oh, she's doing this, this, and this. But reality, you could just be mentally preparing yourself to go into practice. You could come out here and do nothing, but they see you, and, like, that's going to put something in their mind, like, oh, she's here an hour and a half. No, I'm not saying don't put up shots.
Right, you're not saying just, like,
no, I'm not saying don't coast it. I'm not saying coast it, but I'm saying, like, sometimes
see what's needed. But no, like, get to what you're saying. Like, you're basically just saying, like, sometimes you got to put your pride and ego aside and just do what's needed, and, like, do what's going to help you get. It's not faking it. It's not being not genuine, but it's like, all right, if my coach needs me to come in her office and talk to her and watch film extra or be kind of her ear, do that. If I need to get up extra shots, or she needs to see me shooting, because if I miss 2 in practice, she saw that I made 10 in a row, she's less likely to say something. So I think you touch it right on the head. Like, just kind of doing what's needed to get to where you want to go, and that's just life, bro. Like, sometimes you just got to put your ego aside, pride aside. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna go to practice early. It's like, nah, like, that might help your situation a little bit,
right?
You know?
And I also feel like sometimes, like, what I was gonna say is, excuse me. I think, like, don't be a bad teammate. Like, if you're not getting what you're wanting out of the experience, don't be a bad teammate. Like, that is one of the worst experience. And I've gone through it. Like, don't be a bad teammate, because that just makes it miserable for everybody.
Exactly.
And, like, I've had teammates who cry on the sideline every day in practice, try to tear down other people and be like, oh, I'm better than so-and-so. I'm better than so-and-so. Okay, well, clearly you're not, because you're not. You're not doing what you need to do in practice. And everybody sees it. And I feel like it just makes you look like a terrible person, just instead of being like, this is my own thing I got to go through and, like, you know, get through it. And, like, everybody will support you. Everyone will have your back. But, like, if you start trying to tear down other people to make people feel how you feel, I feel like it's never going to work out for you.
Like a projection. Right. Projecting what you feel onto other people. Yeah, for sure. All right, y'all. That concludes episode 6. I appreciate you for having me, obviously, in your home. Really look forward to tomorrow's game. I didn't speak anything about the game because I'm not going to be messy. I don't even want to talk about it. It's just, we're going to play basketball. But no, I really appreciate you for allowing me to be here and interview. And I'm excited to follow your journey as you go into the draft or whatever you decide, and how that plays out. Because I could just tell, like, your head's in the right place, and how you've approached every obstacle, every role in your life is shown, and you've done extremely well. And it's like, that's only going to help you. And obviously, teams, you guys see that she's a great person, so you're going to want to draft her to the team for sure. But no, I appreciate you for coming on. Is there anything, last thing you want to say?
Go Terps, baby.
Go Trojans. Okay. All right, we're done.